$2,400 a month. That is what an E1, a brand new U.S. Army soldier, takes home in basic pay in 2026. Before taxes, before deductions, before the government takes its share of the check he earned by waking up before 5 every morning, running in formation in the dark, and doing a job most Americans will never fully understand. That number makes people angry when they hear it. And the people who get the angriest are the ones who have never looked at the rest of the pay stub. Because basic pay is only the beginning, and by the time you count everything a soldier actually receives, the picture looks completely different from what the number on line 1 suggests. This video breaks down the full picture. Rank by rank. Dollar by dollar. No spin in either direction. Subscribe to Daily Soldier now if you want the real numbers behind what it means to serve. The number that gets quoted and why it misleads. When critics of military pay quote a salary, they are almost always quoting basic pay alone, and they are usually quoting it for the lowest enlisted grade, E1, with 0 years of service. In 2026, according to military, COM's official pay chart sourced from the Defense Finance and Accounting Service, an E1 earns $2,400 per month in basic pay. Annualized, that is roughly $29,000 a year. For a job with no days off that you control, no ability to quit without legal consequence, and the possibility of being sent into a combat zone on a timeline you did not set. That number is real and it is low, but it is also the floor of a system, not the representative salary. An E5 sergeant with 4 years of service earns roughly $3,300 per month in basic pay in 2026. An E7 Sergeant First Class with a decade of service earns over $5,000 per month in basic pay alone. The 2026 pay raise was 3.8%, reflected in January paychecks applied across all active duty members of the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force. But the basic pay number, whatever it is for a given rank and time in service, still only tells you part of the story. The more important part is what sits on top of it, the invisible income. Here's the part that almost never shows up when someone quotes military pay on social media. And it is the part that changes everything. Every soldier who lives off base receives a basic allowance for housing. The amount is determined by rank, duty location, and whether the soldier has dependents. It is calculated to cover the median rental cost in that specific area for housing appropriate to the soldier's rank. It is updated annually based on local housing market surveys. And it is completely tax-free. A sergeant stationed in a high cost of living area with dependents can receive a housing allowance that runs anywhere from $1,500 to over $3,000 per month, depending on location, none of which shows up in the basic pay figure and none of which is taxed. A soldier stationed near a major metropolitan area like Washington, D.C., San Diego, or Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington State, receives a BAH calibrated to local rental costs that can represent the single largest component of his total monthly compensation. Stack on top of that the basic allowance for subsistence. Every enlisted soldier receives this food allowance to offset meal costs. It runs roughly $500 per month for enlisted personnel in 2026, and it is also tax-free. Then consider the health care. A soldier, his spouse, and his children receive full medical and dental coverage under TRICARE. The civilian equivalent cost for a family plan with comparable coverage can exceed $1,000 per month in premiums alone, not counting deductibles or copays. A soldier pays effectively nothing for that coverage. His family sees doctors, fills prescriptions, and accesses dental care on a plan that a civilian employer would describe as an exceptional benefit package, and it comes with the uniform. According to In Charge Debt Solutions' analysis of military compensation, When you combine basic pay with BAH, BAS, and the market value of Tricare coverage, the total compensation package for a mid-career enlisted soldier looks significantly different from the basic pay number alone. A sergeant with dependents, stationed in a moderate cost of living market, can have a total compensation package worth well over $60,000 annually, even if his base pay alone puts him below that line. The recruiter will not always explain this clearly. The social media critic definitely will not. Before we keep going, if this is landing differently than you expected, hit the like button right now. It takes 2 seconds and it puts this video in front of more people. Now back to the story. A sergeant with dependents stationed in a moderate cost of living market can have a total compensation package worth well over $60,000 annually, even if his base pay alone puts him below that line. The recruiter will not always explain this clearly. The social media critic definitely will not. Before we keep going, if this is landing differently than you expected, hit the like button right now. It takes 2 seconds and it puts this video in front of more people. Now back to the story. Soldier in a mid-tier duty station, add BAS, and that total compensation sits closer to $7,000 to $8,000 per month. Tax advantaged, with health care covered, with a pension clock running in the background. Now put that same soldier on deployment. The pay system changes significantly the moment a soldier enters a combat zone. According to InCharge's breakdown of deployment pay, a soldier in an officially declared combat zone stops paying federal income tax on all earnings. Basic pay, bonuses, re-enlistment incentives, all of it becomes tax-free for the duration of that deployment. For a staff sergeant earning $4,000 a month in base pay, that tax exemption alone can be worth $400 to $600 per month in real take-home terms. On top of the tax exemption, deployment activates additional special pays. Imminent danger pay adds $225 per month for service in officially designated hostile fire zones. Family separation allowance adds $250 per month for soldiers away from dependents for more than 30 days. Hardship duty pay adds $50 to $150 per month depending on location. None of these deployment pays are large individually. Combined, for a mid-grade enlisted soldier with dependents deployed to a combat zone, they represent an additional $600 to over $1,000 per month, all tax-free, on top of a basic pay that is also tax-free during deployment. A soldier who deploys does not just serve his country at personal cost. He also earns the most money of his career during the deployment, structured deliberately that way by Congress to compensate for the sacrifice. What mainstream coverage never touches. Here is the number that should reframe every conversation about whether soldiers are paid enough. The Thrift Savings Plan, the military's equivalent of a 401k retirement account, received a significant expansion under the blended retirement system that replaced the old 20-year pension cliff in 2018. Under the BRS, the government automatically contributes 1% of basic pay to a soldier's TSP account, regardless of whether the soldier contributes anything. After 2 years of service, the government matches soldier contributions up to 5% of basic pay. A soldier contributing 5% of his own basic pay and receiving a 5% government match is building a retirement account at 10% of basic pay per month, tax advantaged, while also accruing credit toward a defined benefit pension at 20 years of service. For an E5 earning $38,000 per year in basic pay in 2026, that match alone is worth nearly $2,000 per year in additional compensation that appears nowhere in the basic pay number and is almost never mentioned in any popular discussion of whether soldiers are paid fairly. The pension itself, for a soldier who reaches 20 years, pays 40% of base pay for life. beginning the day after retirement, adjusted annually. A soldier who retires as an E8 Master Sergeant at 20 years can draw a pension of roughly $2,000 per month for the rest of his life, plus continued access to military health care at reduced rates, plus commissary and exchange shopping privileges, plus a VA home loan entitlement. That is not a full picture of wealth, but it is a package of benefits that no basic pay number alone can represent, and it accumulates from the first day of service, whether or not a soldier ever thinks about it. Answering the question. So here is what a U.S. soldier actually gets paid, and why the number you have seen quoted is almost certainly incomplete. The base pay for a new E1 is around $29,000 per year, and it is genuinely low for the demands of the job. That is the honest part of the critique, and it deserves to be said plainly. The people who sign on that line accept terms most civilians would never accept, for a starting wage that reflects neither the risk nor the commitment being made. But the full compensation picture includes a tax-free housing allowance that can be worth $18,000 to $36,000 per year depending on location and dependency status, a food allowance worth around $6,000 per year, full family health care worth $12,000 or more in civilian market terms, a government-matched retirement account, a combat deployment tax exemption, and a pension at 20 years that pays for life. A mid-career sergeant with dependents, stationed in a moderate-cost market, deployed once in 4 years, has total compensation that competes with entry-level professional salaries in most American cities. The difference is that his job requires him to carry 100 pounds on his back through a mountain pass, to be away from his family for a year at a time, and to be prepared on every deployment to not come home. Whether that package is enough is a question every American should have an informed opinion about. Most do not, because the basic pay number is the only number they ever see. And the people who quote it loudest are usually the people who have spent the least time thinking about what the full pay stub actually says, or what the person carrying it actually does. Close, there is a soldier somewhere right now reading an LES, a leave and earnings statement, trying to figure out how to make his BAH stretch to cover rent in a new duty station, while his wife manages 2 kids and a PCS move without him. He knows exactly what he earns. He can read every line of that pay stub. He knows what the deployment tax exemption is worth, and what the TSP match adds up to, and what his pension will pay if he makes it to 20 years. What he cannot always explain to the people back home who say $35,000 a year is not enough is that the number on line 1 is not the number. It is just the number that fits in a tweet. He also does not stay up at night thinking about whether his compensation is being properly communicated to civilians. He is thinking about the mission, the team, the next rotation. The pay is what it is, and he made peace with that on the day he signed. He serves anyway, not because the pay is perfect, because somebody has to, and he decided it would be him. If this gave you the full picture you have never seen before, subscribe to Daily Soldier. And tell us, after seeing the complete compensation breakdown, do you think U.S. soldiers are paid fairly for what they are asked to do? Thanks for watching.